try to talk loud and clear. I'm not sure. So is everyone ready? Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's 5:35. Let's go ahead and start with introduction of board members and staff, starting with the people that are there in the room.
This is Boardmeyer, board member.
Georgie McNamara, staff.
Kristen staff.
Dan White, staff. Ed Van Haley, board member. Georgie Hester.
Okay. As far as the people that are there online, I'll start with myself, George Mitchell, board vice chair.
Jillian Rainingberg, board.
Angie Segovia, board.
Shannon Maloney, Navarro, staff.
Tracy Mock, staff.
Jake Jacobs, pseudo staff.
Jillian Braun, staff.
Okay, is that everyone? All right, do we have any guests there in the room? All right, perfect. Tom, let you go ahead and take it away with the presentation of financials.
Okay, well, I wasn't saying anything anyway. So. But
Maybe you can mute everything. How do I do that?
okay. Hey. All right. So this is our balance sheet. I like the balance sheet because it shows where we are at a particular point in time. Doesn't tell us how we got there or where we're going necessarily, but it tells us where we are. So you can see here that we have $9.3 million or so in cash, the first two lines of the balance sheet. That's more than we had at this time last year. It's more than we had this time 2 years ago. And it's almost as much as we had this time 3 years ago, which was pre-COVID. You'll notice that the estimated taxes receivable current year number is about $2 million more than it was last year. And that is all about our levy, which we will talk much more about as the meeting goes on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. All right. So all right. So I was talking about how great our cash position is.
Just 1 second. You're going to have to mute the speaker either on her laptop or those sounds coming through. That's what's coming through.
My laptop is muted.
So Tommy's on mute.
The mic's muted, but the speaker itself is not.
Robin needed to unmute.
Want to go show them in?
Tommy's mute, Robin.
Must be part of the experience.
We're good.
Can they hear you?
Can you all hear now?
We can hear.
Yes.
All right. So I was talking about how great our cash position is and how okay. I think you just turned it up. Thanks.
Or it should have,
You wanted me muted, right?
it was the X. So nothing comes through your machine, nothing goes out of your machine. You want the sound X
Okay.
all the way out.
So to summarize, cash is good. Estimated taxes receivable are good. Related to the levy, and we'll talk more about that. The only significant liability on the balance sheet is the mortgage, which will balloon in June of 2027. That's a long time.
What's our interest rate? We locked it in pretty low, right?
Yeah, I believe it's 3%. And it's locked till 2027. This is the capital budget. You'll recall a month ago, you all voted to add $500,000 to the budget for new vehicles. That's why that number is 625. Since that time, the only thing we've done is buy a couple of engines. Wait, not since that time. Reflected on this statement, the only thing we've done is add a couple of engines to a couple of buses. That was about $11,000, which is why we're now over $100,000 there. This month, so not reflected on this statement, since August 31st, we've taken possession of 3 of the 5 buses that we were hoping to use that money for. Let's see. Those 3 buses we've already paid for. They added up to $277,900. So that's what would be added to that $102,000 so far. There are 2 more on the way. I've signed the purchase paperwork. The actual vehicles, you know, with the steering wheel and the wheels, we haven't seen those yet. But we're hoping soon. When we have, when we've paid for those, the 5 vehicles altogether, the 3 we already bought, plus those 2, we're expecting to be a total of about $468,000. So we should still have some money left over. We don't expect to spend the whole 625. Other than that, the only significant thing on this statement that has changed since the last time you saw it is the $14,900 spent at Southeast on a new HVAC unit. There are some other smaller things here, but those are the significant issues there. So this is the income statement. If you ever get to see the top of it, you'll see that our tax revenues are up from last year, almost exactly $2 million. Again, that's all about the levy, which I hope to talk more about. The other significant fluctuations here, you can see the Medicaid revenue at DOT is up. This is 8 months of revenue compared to the same 8 months from the prior year. We're almost exactly the same on the support coordination revenue. And if you sneak a peek down at the bottom, the expense side, if you look at the support coordination line there, you'll see our expenses are actually down from last year. So the profit in support coordination for those 8 months is up compared to last year. Other fun things here, the interest income dash sweep is all about the interest rates and what's happened there. And the end of last week, our rate jumped again from 2.17 to 2.86. So interest rates are up. That's as a result of things the Fed's doing to try and fight inflation. And I don't think anybody sees an end to that strategy anytime soon. Sure. Right. On the expense side of things, you can see our total expenses are almost exactly the same as last year. 11.5 million last year, round up to 11.6 this year. Not really any crazy fluctuations anywhere up and down the line. So those statements compared year to year. This statement compares actual to budget. You can see that our total revenues exceed budget by about $2 million. Again, that was a big adjustment related to the levy in August. And I've got the calculation on that for you here in a minute. Otherwise, most of these numbers are right in line with budget. Again, you'll see the support coordination revenue number is short of budget by $427,000. But on the expense side, the expenses are short of budget by $673,000. So again, the profit from support coordination is quite a bit more than what we planned on. Most of our other expense lines are under budget. The vocational line there is over budget, $80,000, but that's all direct services to our providers, and that's controllable through the budget. So we'll either stop paying them when they hit their budgets, or you'll tell me to increase the budget. So favorable revenue budget by about $2 million, favorable expense budget by $922,000. Bottom line, almost $3 million.
Recording in progress. Recording in progress.
Okay. All right. So the important facts to know about our tax revenue, and as you saw, it's
That didn't work. All of you, sorry.
Okay, so you want me to mute again?
All right.
This
Okay.
is gonna be a sitcom.
The message is getting across. I think they're doing good. It's just us. Yeah.
All right. So as you've seen, well, that's not what's on my screen. Okay, to reshare.
I think that's just us. I think online we're good, but it depends on what you want. Sorry.
Actually, whoops. Says my screen.
Progress.
Okay. So as I've been trying to say,
Barbara, can you move the boxes for people?
right. Okay. So as I've been saying, the most important driver of what our financial statements look like right now is the levy. Our levy revenue is a combination or a function of the assessed valuation and the actual levy. So the assessed valuation, you can see on the top line here, is up from last year to this year by $700 million. It was not a reassessment year, which means that the existing real estate is still worth, or is taxed as if it was worth the exact same amount in both of those years. The increase, a little bit of it comes from new construction, but most of it comes from an increase in the value of vehicles. So if you've tried to buy a used vehicle in the last year, you know exactly what that's about, right? So that increase in assessed valuation is a part of the increase in our tax revenue, but most of it is from the actual levy. The county let us know that we could increase our levy from the 6.63, it says percent on here, really more correct to think of it as 6.63 cents per $100 of assessed valuation last year to 8.36 cents per $100 of assessed valuation this year. That is an increase. Let's see, I wrote down my percentages because this was so crazy. That's an increase of 26% over the amount we actually, the 663. And the 663 actually included a recoupment levy. You remember, it was actually inflated last year. If we had done the 629, which would have been our regular levy last year, This year would have been a 33% increase. So this is a dramatic increase in the rate from our point of view. If you look at it from the point of view of the taxpayer, it's between $3 and $4 on a $100,000 house. So it's a really cool deal for us. You can see by the time we reduce it for collectability there, we figure we'll collect about 96% of those taxes. You'll see it's an increase of about $3.8 million from last year. I have not been building that in to our accruals throughout the year. So in August, I did a special revenue adjustment to increase our revenue so that it's now 8/12 of the 11.9 million that we expect it to be for the year. So if I can figure out how to go down just a little bit. Try that again. There, you'll see our monthly accrual is 995,000. That's the 11.9 million divided by 12. So through 8 months, we should have $7.96 million accrued. We had been accruing $724,000 a month. So we were, so I needed to recognize revenue of almost $2.9 million in August. That's our $995,000 for August, plus a bunch more to make up for how much we under accrued in the first 7 months.
Okay.
So our tax revenue on the financial statements that we've already looked at, $7.96 million through August, and then it'll be another $995,000 a month for September, October, November, and December. So that's what you can expect to see.
So I'm a little confused because the levy, the 8-cent levy,
yes,
that goes into what's billed, what the bills that people will receive in December, right?
Yes. Yes, but that's treated as revenue in 2022, this current year. And because technically it's based on assessed valuation as of January 1st of 2022. And that's referred to as the 2022 taxes. And if you follow the law, you pay your taxes by the end of December.
Yes.
And we'll get almost all that money in either December or January. And
then next spring, they'll start doing a reassessment, which you kind of expect it to be higher, which is just based on like that number will probably hold steady at this point. But then we have the inflation rate, and then the increased assessment. So looking to the future,
I would expect that when we're talking about the levy at this time next year, that we'll be looking at an increase. Nothing anywhere close to
like the number, but the valuations.
You would expect
the inflation rate being higher.
That's right. We'll get we should get an increase of whatever is less the inflation rate or the assessed valuation.
Increase.
Or if they're both above 5%, it's capped at 5%.
It's 5%. Probably.
If both of those are more than 5%. And I had thought to also talk some about why the levy jumped so much.
Complicated.
It's complicated, and with the problems that we've had technology-wise, I'm not going to show my giant spreadsheet on that topic. Just suffice it to say that in our history, long predating me, our organization took some voluntary reductions in our levy. And those just kind of get baked into what you're expected to do under the Hancock Amendment each year. So if you take a reduction this year, next year, whatever the increase is calculated, it's calculated on that lesser number that you took. We've gone on like that for many years. It turns out it's been a significant dollar amount. The law says that in even numbered years, if you want to and jump through some hoops, hold a hearing and do some special votes and things, you can act as if you never did any of those reductions and set your levy where it would be.
Voted on by the taxpayers.
As voted on by the taxpayers, and still subject to the Hancock Amendment. So it does. The taxpayers originally voted for a 10-cent levy. We can go up to 8.36 because that's what it would have been under the Hancock Amendment if we had not taken any voluntary reductions. And long story short, the Jackson County Legislature did those hearings, jumped through those hoops, and passed an ordinance that included our levy earlier this year, and have already approved the 8.36 levy. And during the board meeting tonight, we'll be asking our board to approve that same levy. And we will have no problem utilizing that money and putting it to work. We've already been talking about buses. Georgie and I have been touring our buildings, and we have spent that extra $2.9 million many times over. We're going to have to jackhammer a lot of concrete. There's a lot of places where we need to do significant work.
And some of them are very critical safety issues.
Yeah. In addition to that, with inflation, our staff really needs some significant raises. And my understanding, though I have not studied them yet, is that we have provider applications that are going to be asking for increases as well, as they've fought the same sort of inflation and issues and have many worthy needs as well. So anyway, when we get ready to vote for the levy, don't worry about whether we can spend the money or not. There's lots of good things that we can do with that money. I'm excited about it. And I'm done. I covered both the financial statements and the new business items on the agenda.
Yeah, thank you very much. Any old business for us to discuss? Any public comment? Hearing none, can I show this meeting as adjourned at 6:10? Perfect. Thank you, everybody. Let's go ahead and roll over into the board meeting now. So, call to order the board meeting here in ETOS here at 6:10 in the evening. Quick introduction. Do we have anybody new that has joined us since our finance committee? Okay. Seeing none, I see Tammy has joined us. Okay. Anyone else new besides Tammy? Okay. See no guests, and here we'll move on to the secretary's report. Susan.
Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes that Robin was able to provide for us? If not, then I move that we accept as presented.
A motion, to have a second? Seconded there by Mr. Van Hale. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
All right. Report is accepted. Finance Committee. We just kind of went through the financials. So some of the highlights for us to review, and if I take us astray, please correct us and get us back on track. Just as an update, we voted last month to approve roughly $500,000 to get some buses. We currently have about 3 of those 5 buses here presently. We're waiting on 2 more. Those 3 buses are roughly about $277,000. By the time we get the other 2 buses, it'll be a total of $468 of the money that was approved. So we're waiting on those 2 buses to arrive. So that's an update about that. Our monthly statement is higher this month than it was in years past about the same time last year or even years prior, or if I even recall, even out to prior to COVID. So we are doing well financially. Part of that is again to the DOT revenue, Medicaid revenue is being increased. We had another $2 million reflected in the increase due to the levy increase, which we'll discuss later in this meeting. So roughly we're looking at an additional, if I'm not mistaken, $995,000 per month for the rest of the year. So as you can tell, as you hear, we're doing really well financially, and Tom and Georgie have assured me that, oh, don't worry, we'll be able to spend that money. So that being said, do I have any questions about the Finance Committee report? Hearing none, can we show that report as approved? Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you very much. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. Moving along, let's go to the Executive Director's report. Georgie.
I sent that out to you guys for your prior review. I gave you some updates on what's going on at ETOS, what happened with the county legislature, but of course you've heard that several times already from several of us, and then the update on my 90-day plan. Did anybody have any questions about the items on the report? Need more information about anything? Well, you got me. Your giant Jenga skills?
Oh.
Sorry. Worry about Jenga.
You didn't read my report.
You can get it right there. They start about Jenga.
Susan has mad cigars.
It was a lot of fun. She came and joined us.
Lots. By the team. Now
Well, there's always next time.
And as Tom said, we've been touring properties. We still have a couple more to go. We're going to finish up on Friday. Very thorough tours where we walk around and take a lot of notes and hear what our providers have to say about the buildings that they're in. And some real serious concerns, especially particularly at Blue Valley with concrete and with the way the water goes off the roof that freezes and then causes a safety hazard for both staff and people at DPI. So we're going to have to spend a lot of money there.
Do we have, is it next month that we have properties in those committees? Is it next month?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So can't wait to hear what the plan is come next month.
I think that we won't really have a firm plan until we have a budget. So, yeah. But I think we can prioritize.
Yes.
We can start telling you what the most important things are.
Yeah, very good. Okay. All right, let's move on to new business. Set the levy. Georgie.
Well, as you've heard us discuss, we have the opportunity to increase the levy to where we should have been or could have been had we not given the taxpayers a break when we didn't really need the money at times in the past. But now we really do, because our buildings are very old and because we have some aging buses and we have providers who have a lot of needs. And we have particularly our hourly staff who are dealing with inflation. So we were really hoping that you guys would make a motion to, well, it's here on this is your resolution that is similar to the one last year. So it's on this 27th day of September, 2022, be it hereby resolved that the binding tax levy for tax year 2022 for DD services of Jackson County ETOS be set at the rate of 0.0836 per $100 of assessed valuation. So if you guys are in agreement,
I'll make a motion that we approve the tax levy as presented.
second.
Okay. Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Any further discussion about it? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Gentlemen, you have your levy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
George Mitchell or John Hancock or whoever you want to be.
All right. Is there any other new business to discuss? Okay. Is there any old business? Okay. Any public comment? Okay. I see we have an agenda item to move to a closed session.
Yes, with your permission, I'd like to ask Tom, Amanda, and Jake to stay.
Right.
Do we need a motion to go into closed session? I'll make a motion that we go into closed session pursuant to revised statutes of Missouri 610.021 revolving personnel.
I'll second.
Thank you. Is it a roll call vote? If I'm not mistaken? Okay. All those in favor of going to closed session, say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right. We're going to move into closed session, so we'll give ourselves some time for people to clear out and disconnect. Okay, my question.